Hello, guys. Welcome back to another Protection Parent Inside Insurance. We've got no car again this week, so we've got another. We're kind of doing this weird feature at the moment of featuring people within the Protection Parent, which I think is really cool because I think it's really lovely to see that there is not just Carla. We had Meg last week. This week we've got Becca, and I'm really excited to have you on the show, Becca. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm very, very glad. And there's a slight delay, but just for people listening, there is a slight delay between me and Becca. So if I say something and then wait, if there's a second, that's what that is. I don't know what it is. We're trying to fix it, but it's just an internet thing. So we'll just rock and roll with that. So Becca, for people who don't know who you are, because I'm like some people will, but for this introduction to the show, who are you? What do you do in the Protection Parent?
So I'm a protection specialist within the Protection Parent, life insurance, critical illness, fracture cover, income protection, all of those things. I have got 3 children myself, like Carla, and I was a school business manager for 6.5 years until I started the Protection Parent in July this year. Sorry, last year.
So I was going to say not this year. I was thinking, wow, the future.
Yeah, last year.
Okay, and so how are you? First of all, how has it been since July? What's that kind of roller coaster been like for you since you've started to now? How you find that?
I've loved every second of it. It was scary at first, like obviously going from being an employee and getting your guaranteed salary every month to being self-employed, and if you don't earn, you don't feed your kids. That was scary, but other than that, I've loved it, and it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I was like, how hard can it be getting people insurance? But you don't realise what goes on behind the scenes. So it's all like every day is a school day because you learn so much.
And what bits do you find? So with that then, and this is really interesting with this, what bits are you finding? You said you find hard, like it's harder than people realise from an outside. What are the bits that you think are quite hard with that, the stuff that's the hard work?
Obviously, if people have got a pre-existing medical condition, for instance, and a lot of people are like, no, just flat out decline. Whereas I take that as a challenge. I'm like, oh, I will find you cover. So that's probably the most challenging part when someone has got that medical disclosure that you think, oh, this is going to be a tricky one. But again, I find it really interesting because trying to find that person cover is good.
And so, and I think that's really good because like it's a hard thing in that in your industry, people do, especially a lot of protection providers or protection brokers and stuff and specialists, they will just move towards easy cases. So that's one thing I do love about the Protection Parent and what Carla does and what all you as a team do is this idea of going after more complex, like you help anyone who needs the help. How have you found the transition from being employed, like a completely secure, you said a little bit about it at the beginning, but I'd love to kind of dive into that a little bit more, is this idea of going from a completely secure job. You've got 3 kids. I'm guessing, you'll have bills to pay, commitments you need to do, to move, effectively jump off a cliff, so to speak, into this self-employed environment. Just talk me through that. Talk me through the highs and lows of it, just kind of what your experience has been.
Like I say, it was really scary at first. When I initially jumped off that cliff, I was thinking, what have I just done? Why have I just done that? But because what the plan was originally is to do both either side, so to maybe do a bit of advising on a weekend or after work. But work got to the point where I didn't want to be there anymore. It was getting harder and harder each day. So I just took that leap. Like I say, it was scary, but I've been quite lucky so far because I had like friends and family support me in the first month, to get them sort of sales through, and then it's just grew really, and it's grew really well with like recommendations on Facebook, LinkedIn, the TikTok videos. It's took off better than I thought because that's one thing that worried me, like where am I going to get these clients from? But it seems to be working, so touch wood, it keeps going that way.
And so how are you? You touched on a few things there. How are you actually getting business? Are you doing, like, what is the kind of approach for you for getting referrals?
Mainly social media. Yeah, mainly social media, so your platforms. LinkedIn's been a really good one. And like you say, word of mouth on Facebook's been really good as well.
And LinkedIn, how are you using LinkedIn? In what way? How are you finding that as a lead gen?
So I put my posts up on LinkedIn, and I have covered quite a lot of scaffolders. So the scaffold side of things, a lot of them struggle to get cover with the job that they're in. So I've got a big network of scaffolders on LinkedIn now, and speak to them about how I can get you better cover, or get you cover full stop if they can't get it with the income protection and things like that. That's what's it's really good on LinkedIn.
I love that. So you're very much gone into a niche. Was that on purpose, or was that purely just kind of by accident?
A little bit on purpose. So my partner's a scaffolder, which is why I got into him straight away. I was like, right, you need to tell all the lads at work that they need cover. So he was literally sent me a video of the bait room, and I'd printed posters off, and he sent this video, and there's just my posters stuck all around the cabin. And he's like, if you need insurance, you need to give her a ring. And they're like, will you just leave me alone? I'm just trying to come to work.
I love that.
But then when I found that I got sun cover, I went in with more. You were sorry?
Did you get business then from the recording that your partner did? Was that something you actually got leads?
Yeah.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
I love that. And then so you've been you said also TikTok. So what's your kind of strategy on TikTok? What do you do with that?
I'll be honest with you, I just try to get through it. Because if one thing I hated out of any of it is the TikTok, and Carla knows this. I was like, when she said you need to be doing videos, and I was like, oh, Carla, that's just not, like, that's way out of my comfort zone. I can't. But I've got over it now, and I do them. But that's one thing I would need to work on, is my TikToks.
They are hard. I mean, it's hard to do videos if you've never done it before. If it was easy, I would not be in a job. So don't worry about it.
Honestly, it's like trying to show that you have got some personality, but then be professional and not like providing knowledge at the same time. It's just, I'm getting over it now. I am getting a little bit better.
I love that. And so with your kind of you've gone self-employed. Something I'm really interested in knowing with you is kind of what is your kind of goals and motivations for you, because that's quite a big shift to make that move from being employed to self-employed. Like we've touched on it a bit about what it was like, but what I'm quite interested in, and I'm sure there's other people out there, because there's going to be a lot of people out there who resonate with where your situation is what is motivating you? What are your goals for this specific thing you're doing right now? Where do you see it going? Because it's got to be something larger than just, I didn't like my job and I wanted to leave, because otherwise you would go to another job. So what is the bigger picture for you?
So originally, when I first started the protection department, I was like, if I can earn what I'm earning now, but have more time with the kids, then that'd be perfect. But now I've got into it, and I've, like, Carla's such an inspiration. Like, she's unreal at what she does. So now I definitely want more. So I want to be establishing a really good client base. I want to be growing like Carla has. I just want to smash it, basically. I'm so motivated by Carla that I just want to do more and more all the time.
It's very lucky to be working under somebody like her. Like, she's one in a million. Like, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Like, I think we're going to be pushing on to now nearly 500 in some capacity or another. There's only one Carla. I can tell you that right now. Yeah. I've only ever worked with one Carla Edwards. And so you're very lucky that the team that you have, like, and also to come in as that being your only experience of it is very, very rare. I'm really interested to see, and I think I said this on the last episode, and I've said it to Carla, I'm interested to see where you all end up over a 5 to 10 year period, and how I think how much impact you'll have on the space as a whole, because you're all not being influenced by anything other than some crazy woman who's going against everything the industry normally says. So yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be quite impressive. And have you found from doing that it's been it's been hard, but has it been, I don't want to go into the finances of it, but has it been financially worth it? It was something you were much rather, like, it's changed. Is it a much better choice than where you were before?
Yeah, definitely. And not just financially, like I said to you before, it's the time I get with the kids now, which I never got before. I was working 8 till 5, my old job, and getting in, they were giving them the tea and I was putting them to bed, and I just didn't feel like I spent any time with them. Whereas now, not only, like you said, the financial aspect, I get that time so I can take them to school, I can pick them up, I can arrange my appointments around the kids. So if there's a sports day, I can say, right, I'm blocking that morning out because I'm going to the sports day or whatever. It's just such a better work-life balance now than what it was before. It's really good.
Well, it's like today, like we had this opportunity to do this. I know you've had to move an appointment for this, but that's that flexibility of being able to be like, oh, I can do this, I can't do that. There's an opportunities that come up, and then you go, yeah, great, I can do that. So I think it's really really cool. How have you found? Do you work a lot closely with the team? Like, there's loads of you. The women that are part of the Protection Parent are wicked. You've had some crazy events. How have you found? How are they? What is that like? Because they're quite a crazy bunch of women.
Do you know what? You couldn't ask for a better group of girls, honestly. Carla's obviously Carla. She's just mental. Heidi is one of the most inspirational people I've ever met in my life. But she has me belly laughing constantly. Anytime I'm in a room with her, she's just mental. Jess is lovely. She's come from a mental health background and she's so caring and loving. And Beth, obviously, she just had the baby. She brought the baby in, and she's another one who's a really, really nice girl. And Millie, she's just a little trooper, just sits there constantly with her head in a laptop, ringing pre-sales and doing all the bits behind the scenes. And Meg makes me laugh because we'll all be sat in a room having a conversation, and Meg will go, "What?" I'm like, "What? You know, I wasn't listening." She's just so funny. They're all just lovely, and I love going to the office. I love being with them when we're all in the office together. It's class.
Oh, there you go. My thing just fell off the wall. Wicked. I bought a new hook to try and like hang my coat up, and then that literally went up 10 minutes ago. So it's obviously not very great.
You didn't do a very good job at that, did you?
No, I'm not very. You probably tell I'm definitely not like your partner. I'm not a hands-on guy. I really.
Well, he doesn't do anything in the house. He can't do anything in the house, or he probably can, but it'll sit there for 6 months, and then I'm like, right, I'm getting someone in to do it because you're clearly not going to do it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm terrible at anything like that. It's a bodge jobs everywhere. I love it.
Yeah.
And so, what would you give? Like, if someone was considering on the fence right now, they were thinking, they're in a similar situation to you. They're not sure. They're in an employed role. What would you say it's something that you would recommend them to do, having been through it now? Because I think that's the hardest bit. I know me and Carla spoke about this. Because I know when I was going self-employed, there wasn't enough people talking about it. I thought like there was like, there were people who were really successful. There were people who were like, you could never do it. It's terrifying. Da, 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 da. But there was never anybody who was like you are, like nearly a year in and survived it. So what would be your honest take on it right now?
Well, my advice, what I said to myself at the time, what have you got to lose? If you're not enjoying what you're doing now, obviously if you're enjoying it, you wouldn't be thinking about changing anyway. So if that thought's in your mind, what have you got to lose? See, if it didn't go right for me when I went self-employed and I joined a Protection Parent, the worst case scenario, I just go and get another job. Like, it's not the end of the world. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But then I'd rather it not work and me tried than have not tried and regretted it afterwards. So just give it a go. And if it doesn't work, get another job.
I love that. It's very true.
You know what I mean? It's just, you just have to take these risks in life.
I think that's really great advice. I think because the issue I always find with it is that people kind of make it life and death, and it's really not. And that's what I love, that thought process. That's similar to one that me and Carla spoke about on this show before, is this idea of like it's kind of like calculated risk, meaning like you're in a job that's good. Like I remember when I did it, it was like I was an estate agent, and when I was an estate agent, I became a mortgage broker, and I'm trying to do my exams, and it was like, if I fail, I know I'm a good agent, so I'll just go back and be an agent. And then it was like, once I'd qualified as a broker, it was like, I'll go and be like a broker in an independent financial planning firm. If it fails, I'll go back and be a broker in the agency. It's not like it's not as big a risk as you think. And the risks just when they get broader, you just kind of move further along. And so it's a bit like Carla with staff. It was like, if staff, if it doesn't go well, then it's okay. You just still be a superstar and do it on your own. And so I think it's a really good advice. I think people make it out on social media or on everywhere to be like a big deal. And I don't know about you, when I was going self-employed properly, like where you've just done, I remember like everyone who was employed being like, oh, it's big risk. Oh, it's big risk. Oh, you sure it's a big risk? And I was thinking, it's not that big a risk. Like it's literally like as you said, I can come back and get the job here if I needed to, or something like it.
That's
again.
Exactly. It's really not that big a deal. If obviously it is a big deal, and it, like I said, it was scary, but it's given me so much more reward with time with the kids and things like that. So for me, it was a no-brainer, because if it didn't work, like I said, I just got another job in a school. But no, it's not for me. This is what I want to do now, and it's just fab. Love it.
I love it. That's really good. So on this, Becca, any parting words, any advice you'd give to anybody at the end? We kind of just finishing this show up here, but like any kind of parting words or stuff you'd say to somebody if they're on the fence about this, or they're in the insurance game, but they kind of want to be a bit more protection parenty in the way that you guys approach it, what would be kind of your parting words?
Just listen to your gut, and like you say, take that risk, take that jump, because it'll be worth it. And if it's not, you haven't back to the drawing board.
100%. I love it. So good. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been really good fun. And I love this featuring of other people in the business, because it shows that Carla's not just good on her own, but like surrounds herself with wicked women. Like you guys are all, I know I've met Millie before. I've spoke to Millie a few times, but like getting to, to meet Meg last week and then you, Becca, this week, it's been, and I worked with Heidi many times in the past. I already know that she's crazy. I think it's super cool having you on. And I'm just hoping that next week she messages me and says that then someone else is coming on. I think that's the best way.
She might do.
Maybe. Awesome. All right, guys, be sure to subscribe to the show and check us out next week as well. See you later.